What's going on, everybody? Doug here, one of the hosts, producers, and creators of the Genre of Your Life podcast, bringing you all a review roundup slash audio newsletter producers playbill episode. No full episode of Genre of Your Life podcast this week. Work schedules got in the way. We have a pretty busy kind of April with work and stuff like that. So have no fear. The boys and I will be back next week with a full episode of the podcast. Next week we have our Abigail review, our review of the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. So we have a pretty stacked end of April for you guys. So be on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, on this week's review roundup slash, again, audio newsletter, producers playbill episode, I have my review of Late Night with the Devil, a movie that everyone's talking about as one of the kind of really recent big indie horror hits at the box office right now. We'll be on Shudder next week. And you know what? Might as well go over the recap of the 2024 CinemaCon happening in Vegas right now as we speak. So my thoughts on it and what to look forward to the upcoming movie season and 2025. As always, guys, you can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, or your favorite podcast platform of choice. We also have a full audio show on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Midway Avenue Productions. If you want to, again, all your Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcast app, please rate, review, subscribe to the show. For our Apple Podcast listeners, we need your help. We need your help getting to 200 Apple Podcast ratings, hopefully by May 1st. We're getting there. We're at 46 right now. We appreciate all the support, all the feedback from you all. But we do have a goal of 200 ratings by May 1st, if not June 1st. Like I said, we still have the giveaway going on, with our Amazon gift card, as well as the mystery bundle of 5 mystery movie mini posters. So again, all you gotta do is go on to our Apple Podcast app or website, leave your username of Instagram or TikTok in the heading and the comments. Let us know here for the giveaway. But always, guys, thank you so much for the ongoing support. It means the world to us. Like I said, we have a really stacked April as well as kind of like summer movie season come May 1st. So we have a lot in store for you all this summer, and we cannot wait for you to take on this summer movie season journey with us. We're excited. Alrighty, guys. So as I said, first on the docket tonight on this episode, and yeah, for our new listeners too, basically the producer's playbill is kind of like we'll say bonus features of a DVD or a Blu-ray or a home release of a movie, because kind of like stuff that wasn't in the weekly episode of the podcast of Genre of Your Life, but kind of like the little behind the scenes kind of like DVD extras in a way. So this will be kind of like a review roundup slash, again, producer's playbill audio newsletter for you all this week, in lieu of a episode that will be coming out next week as we all return with a full episode of the podcast. But as I said, Late Night with the Devil, a movie that I think everyone's talking about. It's a really big independent horror hit right now. It's a limited release, I want to say. I think it was like playing in like select theaters with like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 screenings. It wasn't a big release. Shudder right now is one of kind of the leading horror names right now, kind of like with Blumhouse or Neon or A24. Because they do really high concept and very unique and original horror filmmaking. And I think Shudder came out, I want to say it was before COVID. I think they kind of blew up during COVID. And they have a fantastic app. I mean, it's all horror sci-fi, horror thriller, horror mystery. Like it's the app for horror fans for sure. And they've been getting a lot of kind of traction with other podcasts, other film reviewers and critics. I think me and Zeta watched, I want to say, a movie about like a year ago called The Watchers or something like that. It was very disturbing, but I was very impressed with like the high concept storytelling for like a very low budget independent horror film. And this movie, Late Night with the Devil, came out. I think IFC is a very independent movie production company behind like stuff like Boyhood, and they were definitely just praising this movie, how great it was, and when it came out, everyone was talking about it. I think it was a Sundance release or a film festival release, and everyone was talking about it. It was kind of the word of the town. Like, what's this kind of like indie horror film everyone's talking about? Stephen King, the horror master himself, raved about how great it was. I was hearing great things about it, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go in blind. I think I saw like a quick TikTok spot or Instagram spot. I was like, you know what? I want to watch this. I want to go in blind. And I'm sure as hell glad I did, because I like going to things blind. I do sometimes get a little kind of like distracted by the hype of movies, but you know what? This time I was like, you know what? Let's go in blind. Let's kind of go with the ride, believe the hype. Let's just kind of go in blind without seeing the marketing or the trailers for it. Actually, I'm glad I did. For starters, actually, if you don't know the movie, it's set in the 70s. It's during this kind of like Johnny Carson-esque kind of late night talk show called Night Owls, and the host played by David Smolchin, who's a very, very underrated actor. The ratings are in the dumps. They're on the decline. They're about to be pulled from syndication, pulled from the network because no one's watching. It's Johnny Carson kind of just like wannabe. And at the time, Johnny Carson was the king of the night shows. Talk show, late night shows. It was just like it was him. Like that was the guy. And then obviously Letterman came aboard and stuff like that. So he's doing anything in his power to kind of just like really kind of save his show. So on Halloween night, I believe it was 1977. He has just like a Halloween kind of horror themed with guests. He brings in a guy who's a psychic, then he brings in a guy who's kind of just like a guy who kind of like who calls people bluffs for bullshitting if they're like not a true not trying to like person of like skills of like the undead and medium stuff like that. And so he also has a friend of his who was a doctor who found a child who was part of this kind of like religious horror cult, and that she saved this little girl, but even though she saved her, some kind of demonic thing stuck with her even after she was rescued. And basically it's just kind of like he wants to kind of like showcase all this different stuff, all this different kind of like quote unquote talent of like the supernatural all in one night. And that's all I'm gonna say. And I think you should go to this movie blind. And I'll tell you what, if you have heard about this movie, heard all the hype and the praise of this movie, believe the hype, guys. This movie is awesome. It is a great horror movie. It's a great horror movie, but you know what? This is why original independent filmmaking is so important to cinema and to the theatrical experience, the movie theater experience, because I'm so glad I saw this movie in theaters. And it was kind of creepy too. Me and my girlfriend Zeta, we were going to see like a week or two ago, then we saw Love Lies Bleeding, and then we kind of just got busy with work and life. And so I was like, hey, we got to see this movie before we leave theaters. Everyone's raving about it from other critics, other reviewers, other horror film fans. I got to see this movie in theaters. And she was hearing good things about it from friends as well. So we're like, all right, we got to see it. And luckily our local theater had one more screening of it, and it was last night at like 8 p.m. And I was like, it's kind of spooky that we're seeing this movie on the last showing of our theater, like ever, then it goes away. I think most theaters in our area in AZ are just going away too. So it was a very small, limited release. And I was telling Z, I was like, we got to see this movie, but it was kind of added to the fact that like we're seeing this movie, the last showing. Well, the movie has a kind of premise of like it could be the last episode of the show before they get pulled off the air. Kind of added the very kind of like the nuance of it all. And like I said, this movie is great. It's again to me, watching it felt like when I watched Barbarian for the first time, which came out in 2022. You probably heard me on the show. I fucking love Barbarian. It's one of the best horror movies of the past decade. Again, it's original theatrical movie that unfortunately Disney acquired because, and I do love Disney a lot. I think they can some great filmmaking, great some kind of just like spectacles and great storytelling, stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, but they have not been able to kind of just like really promote and market their 20th Century Studios material the same way they do with like their Marvel or DC, not there yet, but like Marvel or Star Wars or Pixar or whatever. I think they don't really know how to market their Fox catalog, which is a shame because then why'd you buy Fox in the first place? But I digress, different episode. But watching this reminded me watching Barbarian, because same thing. I was hearing about this movie Barbarian. Again, this is like September 2022. Everyone's saying, gotta see this movie. Like it was playing always kind of like these kind of Comic-Con screening, a lot of these kind of like fan screenings. Everyone was just raving about this movie, and I was like, okay. I remember seeing the poster for it. We were down to a concert like in August at this big AMC out here in Glendale, AZ. There was this like really huge like poster called Barbarian. And I said, what is that? And the poster was this big red thing with kind of like a girl at the staircase just looking. And I was like, that's so minimal, but it's so like captivating at the same time. And I think I watched like a quick 30-second, like quick like teaser of like people screaming, and it was like Barbarian. And I was like, from the producer of It and The Grudge, I was like, ooh, I love It. I'm sold. That's all I watched. And I was hearing amazing things about it. And the same thing. I'm so glad I knew little to nothing about that movie and watched any of the marketing, because again, that movie, you definitely need to go in blind and not knowing anything about it. And that movie is fantastic. But back to this movie, Late Night with the Devil. it's just the vibe of the movie. It feels like you're watching like a found footage, like 70s talk show, late night show that was like kind of just forgotten about, and no one's talking about it since. It definitely had vibes of, like, I would say, Exorcist with little bit of Carrie, some kind of Stephen King-esque kind of vibe to it. And it's very eerie, it's very disturbing, it's very unsettling. And the whole time you're like, I don't know what to expect, what's going to happen. You feel very on the edge of your seat. You feel like an audience member in the actual taping of the movie. Like I said too, you see a lot of movies that are like kind of mockumentary or kind of just like found footage. It kind of feels like it was kind of like definitely Hollywood, or definitely like, doctor to make it feel like kind of extra amount to make it feel like kind of like a found footage movie. This felt like you're watching an actual taping from a long lost talk show that was kind of forgotten in the past, of this kind of awful thing that happened. And it did a good job. And I said, I think that when you have independent filmmaking like this, your creativity and your just like imagination kind of goes wild. You can do so much with it. Again, I love a good studio movie. I love a good spectacle, large budget movie. I really do. But you definitely appreciate what they're able to accomplish with the budget they had and the time they had. Again, it's a really short independent movie, little to no time, little to no budget, and it just works. And like I said, David Smolch, man, I remember seeing him when I was a kid in Dark Knight. That great scene where he's one of Joker's henchmen trying to shoot the mayor. And sorry, spoilers for Dark Knight 15 years later. And then Harvey Dent and Batman interrogate him. And it's so intense. But you see these guys sweating. And I'm like, who is this guy? He's so creepy. Then I remember seeing him years later in like Prisoners. I was like, is that the guy from Dark Knight? And it was. I'm like, wow, he puts a kind of good creep in a way. And then you see him stuff like later in 2049. You see him stuff in Dune. You see him stuff in Ant-Man, The Suicide Squad. And I'm like, he's one of those guys kind of like in the background of like, he's kind of just like an actor kind of just there, and like just like kind of like, oh look, it's that guy. But I just remember seeing him for the first time in Dark Knight. I was like, man, like this guy's kind of creepy and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, it's, to me, I'm so happy he's getting his flowers and the recognition he deserves, because he's been a working actor for a long time. And you hear great things about this guy. Like, he's very humble, he's very pleasant, he's very nice, he's very sweet. I see him in like interviews on their podcast. He's a very humble and down to earth guy that just loves movies, loves being part of movies, even though a small role, cameo, whatever. And this is kind of his first leading role. And to me, it's really cool to see his kind of evolution as a filmmaker and as a creative, because I'm like, wow, I think all those small roles, even though they're big movies like a Dune or Prisoners or a Dark Knight or Blade Runner or Suicide Squad, has led him to this moment of like, hey, this is my kind of first leading man performance. And he kills it. He does a great job. He's very charming. He's very witty. Has some kind of elements of like Conan and Johnny Carson and a little bit of kind of like Jay Leno isms in a way. And he's very believable as a talk show host. And you kind of see like he's desperate to get this show kind of back on its feet, back on track. And he's a little bit of kind of demon, but like more like a bit of a history of like dark stuff in his life with loss and just addiction, stuff like that. And that really does add a lot to his character and how he kind of performs this role as the talk show host. Like Jack Donaghy's his name. I don't think that was the 30 Rock character, actually. Let me see what the name of this character was. If it was Jack Donaghy, Jack Dilroy. Jack Donaghy is from 30 Rock, Alec Baldwin. Jack Dilroy, and really, he does a great job. I'm so happy seeing he is getting his flowers and attention, because he's phenomenal in this. But yeah, it's just creepy. It's unsettling. You have a knot in your stomach at times. You're just like, what are you doing? Like, man, it's just like, what is going on? What's going to happen? And they have to keep you on edge the entire time. But there's little things you gotta notice. Like, I won't spoil anything, but like, when you're watching this, look for the TV screens with the static. You're gonna see small things. I was like, whoa. And I was like, in the audience, I was like, you see that? And Zeta was like, no. You got the small things you got to catch up on. There are things that probably go unnoticed, but just pay attention to the small things, whether it's a kind of like an extra or a person in the back working the production, whatever, or just, again, watch the TV screens, because there's small things you might miss, or things in camera that, like, keep your eye out for things, because it's very, you blink, you might miss it, but it's very creepy how they kind of include this. And I was like, it definitely kind of stuck with me today. I was like, oh my gosh, it was so creepy how that was filmed, or how that was kind of like included in the movie. And it's cool because with this movie, basically a live audience member watching what's going down. But when they cut, tape before they go during commercial break of the live broadcast, it shoots the black and white, and you kind of seeing kind of behind the scenes stuff of like, don't do this, what's happening here, how's our ratings, what are people saying about how people are reacting to this, whatever. And it's really cool to see kind of like that kind of like documentary kind of footage like in between commercial breaks, stuff like that. And again, when you're watching the live broadcast, like the interview, the night show part of it, it's all 4x3. And again, you probably heard me in another episode of the podcast where like, I think 4x3 is definitely an overused kind of like filmmaking thing now. I think it's fine. Like, look, it's very, very pretentious now. Like, if you have a reason to use it, use it. If not, don't overuse it. And I think a lot of people are like, look, I'm so artsy and very full of myself as a filmmaker. I'm using my 4x3 ratio. Come really cool like that. It's like, no, it has to have a narrative purpose, like a Grand Budapest Hotel, like a mid-90s. And with this, because given the time, it's the 70s, it's a talk show, again, it's like the grain on the film, it's like you're watching like legit like a found footage from a 70s talk show. But it's really cool seeing the behind the scenes stuff, which is again switches from color to black and white. And I love how like it's very intimate. It makes you feel like you're kind of part of like the production crew, people, the lighters, the gaffers, the camera people. And it's really cool to see how they switch from color to black and white, and how like the kind of chaos behind the scenes is going on, trying to get the show kind of saved before they're like out of luck. But it's creepy, man. It's a creepy movie. Some of the things you see are just like, oh no. But again, it's like, because as a low budget movie, they're definitely utilizing their budget to make it feel as creepy, make it feel as kind of realistic as possible. You're like, this actually happened, was inspired by like a true event. And I love that about it. It's such a really unsettling movie, but you can't help but like watch the screen of like, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen? I feel like something very sinister. It's very just like very uneasy, but I love that about it. Well, another thing too I like about it as well is that except for, I mean, I know David Smallchin, but I think a lot of people don't really know him as a household name. Not a household name, but if you're a film buff like I am, avid moviegoer that I am, you'd be like, oh yeah, it's the guy from Dark Knight, or the guy from Suicide Squad, or whatever, or from Dune or Ant-Man. But he's not a household name, and his supporting cast are, to me, I don't know anyone else in the cast for him, and I like that because it makes it feel more real, it makes it feel more authentic. And again, not knowing these actors, I like the cast unknown. It wasn't like, look, we're gonna put like a Steve Martin here or Martin Short. Like, look, you know that person. When you have an unknown actors, you're not distracted by the name or like the spectacle of the actor themselves. I thought that was a good job of casting really unknowns in this movie, because again, it really added to the authenticity of what they're trying to go for with the storytelling. I thought it was great. I want to shout out a few people in this movie real quick too, other than Smallchin. I thought the actor playing Gus McConnell, Reese Aturi, this was his first movie. I thought he did a great job. He's playing the sidekick of the Smallchin character, Jack Gilroy. And did a great job because you kind of see him change throughout the story in terms of just like, what the hell is happening? Don't be doing this. This isn't smart. You see the fear on this guy's face. You're just like, I'm with him. Get the hell out of there. What are you thinking about? But some stuff like actors like Laura Gordon, Ian Bliss, Fazal Bazzi, Ingrid Turley, all the actors really, you can tell like this is a passion project for them, but also like they really believe in the story, and they're selling it so well. Again, you really believe this might have actually happened. And like I said, it's just everyone brings their A game, and you can tell the love they have for making this movie. And the directors behind this movie, I think this was their first movie as well. The brothers Cameron and Colin Kareens. Sorry if I'm butchering their names. They're brothers, brother duo. Don't know any of their work before this. I watched these guys get a big role next. I'm telling you, watch these guys have a movie next. I'm telling you, this is a Star is Born moment for the Smallchin, but also this is definitely a Star is Born moment for these directors. I feel like everyone's talking about this movie. It's a hit. It's talk of the town. Horror fans are loving this. Movie fans are loving this. It's doing really well for a low budget film. I think once it goes on Shudder, I think in a week or 2 weeks, more people who probably didn't see this movie in theaters or were able to see because of a small release, they're going to discover it, and these guys are going to have a really good, I think, career ahead of them. They probably get a studio offer or a bigger budget movie, but I'm telling you guys, keep an eye on for these directors. I think they're going to have a lot to offer in terms of storytelling and horror filmmaking, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next, and they're for sure on my radar as filmmakers to look out for. But yeah, it's a really creepy movie. And again, I said, I'm definitely glad. Again, if I were you, if you hear my review for the first time, not spoiler obviously, if you can see it in theaters before it goes away, definitely. If not, I understand. I think Shudder has like a 7 or 2 week trial. You get it. This movie's fantastic. And again, if you're a horror fan, this movie's definitely up your alley. I think you're gonna like this movie a lot. But one thing I will say I definitely issue with was I definitely like how ambiguous the ending was. I said you probably heard me kind of rant about this before in other movies. I get it. It's a cool thing to like, hey, look, this movie has a kind of open ending. It's your interpretation. Okay, I get it. It's a very kind of common thing now in movies. To me, it kind of gets annoying if you can't like really know, if you can't really land the ending. But having like this movie so much, liking also the pace of this movie is great. This movie goes. It's an hour 30 minutes and it just goes. It goes. It definitely has good setup, good execution, good build up, good climax, and you don't feel like, okay, get on with this. It feels very repetitive. This movie goes. It has a great pace, and I'm very big on pace nowadays for movies. But in the ending, to me, I was like, okay, where are we going with this? It kind of takes a turn. You're like, oh, it kind of lost me for a bit, but it brought me back. I do definitely want to watch more kind of like read more articles or watch more videos of like the ending explained, because I had a few questions where I was like, what really did happen if this happened, or how do you explain this? But it didn't bother me too much, but I definitely had a little bit of like that it could have been more like kind of like more, it was kind of like wrapped up more cleanly or neatly, I would say. But definitely stuck with me today for sure. I was like, when I woke up, I was talking to someone at work, talking to Zeta about it. I was like, this movie's definitely in my head. I can't stop thinking about this movie because the movie has kind of that impact on me. Another thing too, there was something else I had thought about. I was like, oh man, that could have been better or something. The actor who's playing the producer, his kind of like producer, was kind of annoying. He didn't really add much. He felt very kind of just one note and didn't really add much to it. It was kind of just like kind of typical like 70s, the leather jacket and the glasses at night, like the curly hair. It just felt one dimensional. And whenever he's on screen with David Smolch and they had no chemistry, it kind of just felt just like you kind of thrown into like, look, he's like the stereotypical like mean producer from like talk show stuff, and it's like, yeah, that didn't really add anything to it. And I was like, okay, I guess. It just kind of felt stale. Whenever he was on stage, I was kind of like, get him off. He's on screen. He's annoying me, and he's kind of very the guy acting. No offense to him, he's wasn't really adding anything to it. He kind of just felt just like, yeah, I guess like it's you're I guess you're here to move the story forward because you're more like a device to move the story forward in the narratives moving forward. But to me, it just kind of just felt stale. Kind of just felt like unneeded, unnecessary. But again, small things. The movie's great, guys. I probably give this movie really a solid. That's a good question. I'm kind of torn between an 8.5 or a 9. I think there's so much going for it that I definitely want to revisit in the near future. Kind of just like what I missed and kind of just like seeing how like if it still had the same kind of effect watching it on at home in the near future. But yeah, I'd probably give it like a really solid 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a really good movie, minus my little 2 criticisms. But it's creepy. Like it's so creepy. It's unsettling. But I'm just really blown away with how they're able to pull the story in this movie off with the budget and the time they had. Oh, that's what it was too. There's some controversy. This movie was filmed like 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was during COVID or before COVID and before the actor strike and the writer strike. But apparently they came out saying that they used like I think AI to make the opening title, whatever. And people are boycotting this movie, or people, you should boycott this movie because they use AI in the opening in the credits. It's like, oh come on. To me, I'm just like, okay, if you have an issue with that, I'm not saying you can have an issue with that, but you shouldn't tell the people to be like, don't see this movie because your own opinion. You're gonna hurt this movie in the long run. And you're gonna hurt original independent filmmaking like this, because again, if all we have is the big blockbusters, and like I said, I love the big blockbusters, I love it Endgame, love it Star Wars, I love it Argyle, on and on and on and on, but you're gonna hurt this movie if you want people to not see it. And it's like movies like this need to be seen by large audiences, many audiences, from anyone, because again, this is how more movies get made. and it's how more movies like this get put into give a full theatrical release into the movie theaters. It's important. So this argument of just like, oh my god, boycott this movie, how dare they? Okay, there's other things to worry about. This is a very first world problem, and this movie definitely needs the benefit of our support. Again, seeing in theaters, word of mouth, Shutter when it does good on the Shutter release platform, whatever. Don't hurt a movie like this because you don't like the use of AI. I get it. AI definitely could be used for great. It could be used a lot for bad too. Again, Skynet is a real thing. Skynet was a thing from the movies. If it happens, it happens. It could be a real thing, but don't let your personal bias go against this movie because again, we gotta support this movie to have more films like this. It's important for original filmmaking. It's important for the movie theater experience and the business. So don't hurt this movie because again, you're only hurting yourself, and you're hurting good filmmaking, you're hurting good storytelling, you're hurting good actors that really care about this material, and so it's not worth just all that fuss. So again, that's just me. Again, you disagree with me, I understand that we all the whole difference of opinion, difference, our perspectives and how we approach it. But if you're trying to go after this movie to hurt because of a title sequence, listen, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. But again, I definitely feel like this movie is going to be a cult classic in the making. I think, this Halloween's going to be definitely a big hit when it comes to like people talk about for Halloween, horror movies, spooky season, stuff like that. So yeah, definitely give it 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a really great movie. Definitely in my top 5 of the year, for sure. Top 5 of the year so far. I think it might stick with my top 10 as the year goes on, but a lot of movies to see as we progress the summer movie season and of course the fall and winter. We have a lot of movies coming out this year. But yeah, guys, check out Late Night with the Devil. It's worth the hype. If you can see it in theaters, do it. If not, Shudder, I believe, next week, the 19th. But it's a great movie. I'm really happy for Smolchin getting his time to shine as an actor. It's really rewarding to see that for him as a creative. All right, guys. Like I said, we have CinemaCon right now. CinemaCon right now is going on. If you don't know, CinemaCon is like the big kind of like a convention for movie exhibitors and distributors, like theaters, theater movie owners, AMC, Regal Cinemark, independent chain, stuff like that. This is where all the big studios, Warner Brothers, Sony, Universal, Disney, Paramount, Lionsgate, everyone comes down to Vegas, Caesar's Palace. They do these huge panels. They kind of give you a slate like what's to upcoming this year, and the next year of like coming to the theaters. And they announce a lot of big movies too, like things that have been announced to like in production or just in development. And it's really cool to see like a lot of these kind of big movies, kind of like a lot of breaking news, a lot of big headlines coming out of this convention. And a goal that I have for myself and probably for Nick as well, and even Joel and Moses, that we would hope, next year we can be part of the press. That get a lot of the press, podcasts, journalists, critics, whatever. It's mostly meant for theater owners, exhibitors, theater chains to kind of take notes on what's coming through, to how they can market this movie for their theaters and their chains, etc., popcorn buckets, everything, screenings, etc. But the goal for sure is to have us go to CinemaCon hopefully next year, if not the year after, as press to cover this for the podcast, for YouTube reactions, TikTok, Instagram, all that kind of jazz. But it's a really cool event that I've been kind of following the past couple of years because like I see people like John Campea or people like from Fandango or Rotten Tomatoes, like they're there to cover stuff like that. It's cool seeing their kind of like reaction to coverage and stuff like that. Of like, hey, like we're heard about this, we heard about this movie. This has been announced, whatever. And again, a lot of breaking news and headlines come from CinemaCon, and a lot of the footage is not seen to the public. It only can be seen at CinemaCon, and most of the time, a lot of the footage isn't released to us at all, or is released months and months later, or it's tweaked different from what people saw at the convention. And I think in the past they showed stuff like Ghostbusters Afterlife, like a full movie, Top Gun Maverick, The Flash last year. This year was The Fall Guy. So a lot of times when they have a movie to screen, last year was Joyride as well, when they're there for the movie, that means the movie A is really fucking good. Excuse my French. And two is that they have a lot of faith in this movie, that, hey, what we believe in this movie. Here's why you and your audiences should be excited for this movie too. And this year was The Fall Guy. I'm hearing great things about The Fall Guy. And I think Nick and I are seeing this movie. we're going to the screening. I want to say I think the last day of April. I think we're going April 30th, and I cannot wait for this movie. One of my most anticipated movies of 2024. I am hyped for this movie. So hearing all the good reaction out of this too, and this in South by Southwest, I'm so excited. So look out for our reaction review like the first week of May. But yeah, guys. So again, CinemaCon, big deal. A lot of people kind of cover their stuff like that, and so I've been kind of following this year a little bit with other news and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go over what I'm kind of looking forward to. I know the boys kind of looking for some other stuff as well, and let's see. So I'm gonna start with my list. This is kind of like just like what I was, what I found. Let's see what I saw on their website. This is last year's actually. Great. That's not what I want to watch. What's the first one? I think today was Disney was closing it out, I believe. And let's see if I can find Warner Brothers. And also, I believe Sony didn't go this year, which is kind of surprising. Sony has a lot of movies coming out with Kraven the Hunter, and with Us, a bunch of other movies, and I was very surprised that they didn't go. I think a year or two ago, Warner Brothers didn't go because they had that huge controversy with the HBO day-and-day release because, again, this movie is for theatrical only, not Disney Plus movies or Hulu movies or Netflix movies. Netflix is in there, obviously. This is for theatrical releases only, no streaming whatsoever. But again, these people are representing the theatrical experience and the theater business. But let's see. I think Universal was the first one. Let me say Universal. Universal, here we go. Universal was announced, let's see, Five Nights at Freddy's sequel. Yeah, you know, I don't want to sound like that guy, but yeah, I didn't really care about the first one. I think Nick liked the first one more. Again, made a lot of money. Made so much money also for having a day-and-day release on Peacock. So, surprise, surprise, having a sequel. But if they bring back Josh Hutcherson and his sister, I hope not, because that story did not interest me at all. If you look at an anthology thing, I'm probably more intrigued. Obviously, we'll review the movie on the podcast for you all. But yeah, that's I don't know about that one. But hey, what made a lot of money on a super low budget. Blumhouse again is killing the game with, you know, theatrical and just kind of like the horror game. So, you know, good for them. Twisters, can't wait for that. I heard some really cool footage was debuted. We're seeing that in July. So yeah, look out for our review and reaction for that. Despicable Me 4 was cool footage was shown exclusively there. Probably don't care. I'll probably see it, but again, I didn't even see 3. I think I seen 1, 2 in the first Minions, and I was kind of like, yeah, I'm out. But let me see. The Wild Robot, not familiar with it. Oh, The Wolf, man. Oh, okay, I'm jealous. This looks awesome. Lee Winnell, Upgrade, as well as, what was it? Upgrade and something else too. Invisible Man. This guy's a great filmmaker. I'm hyped to see this. I was kind of bummed that Ryan Gosling left for this project, but Chris Abbott is a great actor. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with the role, and I think Lee Winnell is a great director and writer. I'm looking for that. So then I think they're like just 2 months in production too, so they probably saw a lot of like exclusive footage. So I'm hyped for that. They showed Wicked. They showed us some footage of Wicked, and I cannot wait for Wicked. I love the musical, one of my favorite musicals of all time. If you see it on Broadway, please do. It is a phenomenal musical. Cynthia Erivo, who I love. She's in this. So is she's playing Elphaba, and Ariana Grande is playing Glinda. I'm there for that. So that's Thanksgiving. So footage apparently blew everyone away. They have some costumes, stuff like that too. So I'm hyped for that. Nosferatu, Robert Eggers, who I liked. Lighthouse. I just watched The Northman for the first time with my boy Evan. That was pretty good, very intense, very brutal. So looking forward to seeing this. Got a great cast with Lee Rose Depp. You got oh my gosh, Bill Skarsgård, and I believe we'll see all that. Nicholas Hoult, and Willem Dafoe. I'm there for that. Some first footage. The first trailer was shown that came out on Christmas. Looking forward to that. I think that was kind of like that was really about it. Of course, they had the Fall Guy was like their opening with their screening. So that's Universal. Where's Focus Features? Oh, and Bike Riders, which comes out in June, which I cannot wait for that. That's also a movie that was very weird what happened because Disney had it, then they dropped it. They were going to shelve it. Then Universal and Focus Features bought it And I think it was because it was too rated R for them. When it's like, don't buy a studio like that. Then don't put out movies rated R if you don't want to buy a studio. That makes no sense to me. But I'm really glad Focus Features came up and bought it. So I'm looking forward to that. It comes out this June 21st. Nick and I will be seeing that. Hyped to review it. And let's see what's next. Let's see what Warner Brothers has. That was last year's. Warner Brothers 2023. We'll see what Lionsgate has. Oh yeah, Lionsgate had a really weird shakeup where they just moved the Crow remake, which I know everyone is not hyped for, but I'm intrigued by it because I like Bill Skarsgård. I'm not the biggest fan of the original Crow, but it's very tragic what happened to Brandon Lee. It's still a very well shot movie, like good revenge story. And the remake was supposed to come out June 7th with Bad Boys 4. I think I pushed back to end of August, which to me is kind of the dumping ground of movie release dates. So not the best sign. But again, I love Lionsgate. I have faith in this movie. I thought the trailer's really good. Good use of the what's it called? The Post Malone, Travis Scott soundtrack song. Looked really brutal, intense. So I heard the footage looked pretty good. So again, we'll see. But let's see. I think. What was announced this year? The Crow footage was sneak peek of it. Let's see, Borderlands, which I'm kind of intrigued about. Good cast. You got Kevin Hart, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kate Blanchett. Eli Roth was doing it. Didn't care for Thanksgiving, but you know what? I'm kind of interested in it. It was kind of fun, the trailers. So new footage was shown as well. Comes out in August. Comes out in August. What's coming out? August? I think August 9th. So yeah, look out for our review. We'll have to review that. The Strangers Chapter 1. I think they showed a extended sneak peek of this chapter 1. I've never seen the original Strangers, but I'll probably watch this one. I'm more of a horror fan now, so I'll look out for that. Never Let Go. Never heard of it. It's the guy who did Crawl. That kind of like Sharknado, but with like crocodiles. Shows 3 people: Barry's mother, character, 2 twins. Yeah, this is not. I think this is like a horror film. Yeah, it's like a horror film. Ballerina. John Wick presents Ballerina. Yeah, that one was supposed to come out. I think that one switched with The Crow. I think it was supposed to be The Crow next year, and then Ballerina this year. I could be wrong, but I know Ballerina was supposed to come out this year, and apparently has some first ever footage from the spinoff. I'm looking forward to it. I love Ana de Armas, one of my favorite actresses working today, and I love John Wick, as you know, one of my favorite franchises of all time, one of the best action franchises, literally of all time. So they show some footage there. I cannot wait for that. I was hearing that it's very on par with that John Wick franchise. I was worried. I was like, oh, it's going to be a different director. Stileski's not doing this one. It's going to be a different director. I think Len Wiseman's doing this. But it's supposed to take place in between 3 and 4. So, again, I'm looking forward to that. Hope it does well. But, again, if it's on par with the action with the rest of the franchise, again, I'm there day one. But I hope it holds up with the other movies in the franchise. So, definitely there for that one. Oh yeah, that's right. The Michael Jackson biopic, Michael, made by one of my favorite filmmakers of all time, Antoine Fuqua. There's some footage there. I'm very intrigued by that. I know Miles Teller didn't really seem like that, thrilled about promoting that movie a month or two ago during Variety, so that was kind of very odd. But again, I know with the controversy with the documentary came out a couple years ago, Leaving Neverland, I think that's what it's called. So that we'll see how that. We'll see how that does with the franchise, with the movie, but I'm looking forward to seeing it because again, I love Antoine Fuqua, and I'm very intrigued by the biopic and who's involved. So that's Lionsgate. So got a lot in the pipeline, but yeah, I was very surprised they moved back The Crow so late in summer. But I get it's one to compete with the other studio with Bad Boys 4 apparently. Let's see what Paramount has. Paramount 2024. Oh, yeah, they announced, this is the big thing today. So they're remaking Scary Movie. Why? The last 2 were just, the last one was terrible. 4 has its moments with Shaq and Dr. Phil. But if you're doing without the Wayans brothers, and also these parody movies they're not a thing anymore. And if the Wayans aren't involved with it, it kind of worries me because the last two, they weren't involved. And you can definitely tell the quality kind of definitely dipped. But yeah, I don't know about that. That to me seems like kind of like a stretch. And to me, probably an announcement, but I doubt it's ever going to happen. Man, personally, this is the one that I'm hyped for. They announced today. It's a rated R adaptation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. Watching the footage on YouTube, not from this, but like this, like the Unreal Engine, what Last Ronin is. It is a really gritty take on the Ninja Turtles. They're doing a rated R adaptation of this. Count me in. Listen, I am a big TMNT fan. As a kid, as an adult, the TMT the reboot last year was really fun, super charming. A rated R version of this. Count me in. I am there. I cannot wait. As a diehard fan of that franchise, say less. Damien Chazelle was doing another movie, which it's kind of hard to believe that Babylon did so poorly. This guy was like talk of the town, darling, Oscar winner, La La Land, Whiplash, First Man. Babylon came out, and that movie just ate shit because no one saw it. It cost the studio a lot of money, but apparently he's doing another movie with Paramount because Paramount loves working with him. It's be set in a prison, quote unquote, some Shawshank Redemption type stuff. So we'll see about that. G.I. Joe's and Transformers crossover was announced. If you see the last Transformers movie, you understand why. Yeah, we'll see. Bee Gees biopic with Ridley Scott. Interesting. Okay. Star Trek Origins film written by Seth Grahame-Smith. I think he wrote the It movies. Star Trek to me, listen, I love the J.J. Abrams one, the first two. Three with Justin Lin was pretty good. It was fine. It was fun, but like the first two was great, and I love those movies. So I know they had a hard time kind of doing a fourth one. So we'll see if that ever happens. Probably not, but we can see what we can be optimistic. Naked Gun is kind of interesting. It has Liam Neeson and Akiva Schaffer from Lonely Island, pop star Never Stopping, Hot Rod. Interesting. Do we need it? No, but yeah, I'll be intrigued by this. A new horror film called Vicious with Dakota Fanning. Not familiar with it. Oh, this is the one's gonna have a lot of people talking. This is what I'm really interested about. This is Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the guys behind Team America and of course South Park, and one of also my favorite musicals of all time, which is Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon is phenomenal. It's one of the funniest musicals of all time. It's pretty wild, I'll tell you that. But I believe what this movie is, I think they're already in production with this movie, coming out July 4th next year. And Kendrick Lamar, one of the best rappers right now, one of Good Kid, Mad City is one of my favorite albums of all time. This is truly the premise. The film follows a young black man interning as a slave reenactor at a living history museum who discovers that his white girlfriend's ancestors once owned his. This movie is gonna be wild. This movie's gonna be really wild. Could they do this in 2025? I have no idea. Listen, I'm not the biggest South Park fan or Team America fan, but I do love me some Book of Mormon. If it's up there kind of level, I'm there. Again, I'm a huge Kendrick Lamar fan. This movie's gonna have a lot of issues going with it, but I'll tell you what, I'm there because I like everyone involved. And again, Kendrick Lamar to me is one of the best songwriters of our generation, one of those rappers of our generation. But this movie's gonna have a lot of controversy, I'll tell you that. But again, I'm there for that. Paw Patrol 3, TMNT Mutant Mayhem sequel, yeah. And the footage they shown, I believe, was Quiet Place Day 1. I believe they showed a final trailer of If with Ryan Reynolds, directed by the great John Krasinski. Yeah, I'm intrigued by it, but I don't know. The trailers look kind of just a little too goofy and silly for me. But again, I like John Krasinski a lot, and I love Ryan Reynolds, so I'll support the guys no matter what. Transformers 1, yeah, I guess it's an animated Transformers movie. There's some footage. The very footage ever shown was there today. Listen, I like Chris Hemsworth. I like Brian Tyree Henry. I'm kind of Transformers out personally, so we'll see how that goes. But you never know. You never know. We'll see what else. Sonic 3. Didn't care for the first one. But I love Ben Schwartz. Humble brag. Met Ben Schwartz at the premiere of the first one. I was living in LA. Sweetest guy in the world. Could not have been nicer. Super humble. But I like seeing him succeed. So they showed a quick footage of that. Obviously not filmed, not obviously not finished. And I believe that Jim Carrey's coming back as Dr. Robotnik. So again, didn't see two. I know two made a lot of money. I think they made way more than the first one. So good for them. But am I interested? Probably not. But again, you never know. Gladiator 2, hot take. I've never seen the first Gladiator. But people rave about this one because it has like Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, Denzel Washington. And they used one of the best Kanye and Jay-Z tracks, No Church in the Wild. And apparently, like, the crowd has erupted in applause how great the footage was. Maybe I'll watch the first one. Again, not too sold on it yet, but again, I'll probably watch the first one first and then see what see what it's all about. But again, people were saying how the footage was crazy good. So you know what? I'm intrigued by that. All right, let's go over to, so we did Lionsgate, we did Universal, we did Paramount. And they closed out tonight with, I believe, with Disney. Where is Warner Brothers? Let's see. Warner Brothers had a lot of things too. Let's see what. All right, so yeah, Warner Brothers to me really had like the panel this year because Beetlejuice, more footage of that. Beetlejuice is very iconic for Michael Keaton. I'm not a big Tim Burton fan, but might go see if I'm intrigued by it. But again, I'm not really too thrilled about it, not too excited about it. But you know what? I will see. I will see if it's good word of mouth. Again, I'm a huge Michael Keaton fan, so again, I could be intrigued. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Listen, I love Mad Max Fury Road. One of the best theater experiences, one of the best 3D movie experiences of my life. So I was with my dad back in high school. I was like, yo, this movie's crazy good. The trailers definitely intrigued me. I'm big Anya Taylor-Joy fan, looks great. I just kind of wish they'd do another Mad Max sequel to Fury Road. But again, I guess they want to do a prequel to kind of like, hey, keep the kind of just like the world going. But again, it's been almost 10 years since Fury Road. My question is, will people still care? I think they will, but I was hearing divisive things about the footage from the trailer a couple of months ago. It looked cool, but again, it's gonna be a question of how well does the box office comes out next month. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna see it day one, no matter what. But we'll see. Definitely see. But I heard they showed some really good footage of like, whoa, this definitely feels like Mad Max Fury Road. Like, it's the same vibe of it. George Miller's kind of back with his world building, his chaos with his action and this furiosaness of it all. So I definitely seeing that day one. What was the other thing they debuted? Oh yeah, The Watchers by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, which again I heard looks like really chilling, really like ooh, like little creepy. The trailers look really good. Come out June 14th, I believe. And I heard the footage looked pretty good. It was just like, whoa, this looks kind of wild. They showed brand new Superman logo. Yeah, so they started production on Superman with James Gunn, the birth of the new DC franchise universe. They had like a video of James Gunn from production. Obviously, they didn't have anything to show, but they're definitely showing the logo. So again, look out for that. Horizon American Saga. Kevin Costner's doing this kind of like Civil War Part 1, Part 2. This kind of thing. I think there's an audience for that, for like war buffs and history buffs. To me, I probably won't watch this. It didn't intrigue me, but if I hear it's amazing, you got to see this movie. Could be intrigued, could be persuaded, but I heard there's some more footage of it. And again, he has a Part 1 and Part 2, both coming out this summer. So we'll see. This one I'm intrigued with. This is Mickey 17. This is Bong Joon-ho, who swept the Oscars in 2020 with Parasite, directing Best Picture, international feature, stuff like that. And Mickey 17 was supposed to come out last month, and there was no footage or no trailer. I think it got pulled like January, like 2 months before it came out. And they showed some footage of it with Robert Pattinson, who I think is one of the best, one of the best actors working today as well. And apparently, people were just raving about this footage. Like, it's very like sci-fi with like comedy to it, and they're saying that this movie looks crazy. The footage looks incredible, and I got pushed back a whole year to January 31st, 2025. But again, I heard some crazy things about it, so again, I'm definitely intrigued by the trailer and the premise. So we'll see. And also, M. Night Shyamalan has a new movie coming out himself, not well as his daughter, called Trap. It's about like something like a daughter and a son who's at a daughter and a father at a concert that like it's like right place, wrong place, wrong time, and it looks very just like very sinister and very just like trying to catch a serial killer. But it looks really. I heard it looks pretty wild and looks like kind of like M. Night's kind of going to the next level with his filmmaking. So hey, I would like Knock at the Cabin. I love Split. Didn't care for Old. Old was fine. Didn't really care for Glass. I love Unbreakable, but bit of a hit or miss as he is. But the premise sounds pretty interesting, and I think it looks original. Looks very kind of just like M. Night Shyamalan, kind of old school. So again, it could be good or it could be. And of course, they ended with the Joker Folie à Deux footage, and I'll talk about the trailer. I see the trailer now. The trailer looks good. I'm very intrigued by the trailer. Listen, I think the first Joker was in my top 10 of 2019. You know, it was a movie that caused a lot of controversy. It was definitely like, hey, you know, it was definitely very like it was gonna be dangerous. The movie's gonna have a lot of issues. It's gonna have a lot of just like it's gonna have a lot of just like what the fuck kind of things to it. And again, I think it's a very also Todd Phillips, who's known for comedies, hangover films, War Dogs, Old School, Due Date, on and on and on. And it was like, whoa, he's doing a Joker movie, huh? But again, it was the era of like comedians turning to like horror or dark or drama, like or whatever, thriller. Jordan Peele, John Krasinski. It was just kind of Zach Cregger or Barbarian. These these comedians were turning into different genres, like a drama or thriller or horror. And I was like, Todd Phillips is doing this? I'm like, I guess. And again, is Joker the best movie ever? No, but Joaquin is just flat out phenomenal in that. It's close to Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger still was a better Joker, if you ask me personally. But what Joaquin did, he brought his own thing to it. It was creepy. It was disturbing. It was very just like very psychotic at times. For the Joker, that is, of like how he's able to kind of just like bring his character to life, his own version, his own approach to it. And it's a very good character study, but also a good performance as an actor, as you know, just like what he's doing with his character. He lost all that weight. He's very skinny. Again, it's the highest grossing rated R movie of all time, $1 billion off like a $50 million budget movie. And at the time, they were like, "This is the one and done, no sequels." But it made $1 billion. They're like, "Guess what? We're doing one more. This is the first sequel for Joaquin Phoenix." And they announced that Lady Gaga was going to play Harley Quinn. Listen, I love Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I thought Lady Gaga was phenomenal in Star is Born. Star is Born, my favorite movie of 2018. It just blew me away, brought tears in my eyes. I thought she was phenomenal. I thought she had great chemistry with Bradley Cooper. Her voice is obviously just so mesmerizing. It's amazing. And I was like, whoa, it's gonna be Harley Quinn as well. I love Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. She's definitely my Harley Quinn and how she made so like iconic in her own way. But the trailer looked looked very intense. I like that like he kind of has someone like him now, where it's kind of like how they're gonna play off of that. I hope they have great chemistry. But what worries me is that Todd Phillips isn't the best guy when it comes to sequels. Obviously, Hangover 2 and 3 are a big downgrade to Hangover 1, and we'll see what he has in store. I could be proven wrong. I hope I'm proven wrong. I think Joaquin knows how to pick roles very wisely, and I think if he came back, someone who was like definitely sworn off franchises and other movies, like Doctor Strange, I hope there's a reason why they made a sequel to this, and I hope it's not only a cash grab, and I hope it's on par with the first one, if not better. And what kind of intrigued me too, that was pitched as a musical, or a musical-esque kind of story. So again, also intrigued by that too, but hope it's not like kind of like hope it doesn't take away from like the story itself and like the chemistry and the story dynamic between Harley and Joker. But I thought the trailer looked really great. I thought that music choice was really a good music choice. I thought it felt like very similar to the first one, same kind of vibe. But also heard rumors that like it's like a $200 million budget movie. I hope that's not the case because I'm like, there's no way in hell that the first one got $50 million and they gave them only $200 million plus marketing, distribution, and whatever. That's not a smart decision if you ask me. But again, that was a rumor. But I think the footage looked pretty good. I think everyone was had a good reaction to the footage from CinemaCon, and the trailer had a lot of views right away. So again, having that was in my first, the first one was in my top 10 of 2019. Definitely watching this movie this year, and it was filmed in 70mm IMAX. I'm there. You know me. We love the IMAX, love 70mm, so that also has my interest. And here's what Nick said. I remember you guys. Nick's thoughts. Here we go. Hello, all. So glad you could make it, even though I could not. Please forgive my absence. So proper and so gentleman of him. Having said that, my thoughts on the Joker 2 trailer are, overall, this don't look too bad. I'm very curious to see how they do Harley Quinn. Curious to see how not only Joker's story, but also his and Harley's unfolds and where it leads. Also, I can't help but wonder if it will bring back Bruce Wayne, especially since one of the last things to happen in the previous film was the death of the Wayne. So I wonder if Bruce is going to have any kind of comeback in the capacity, in any capacity. I think it could potentially be interesting if Joker Part 3 is the final showdown between Bruce and Arthur Fleck, which is the Joker. But at the same time, I don't want the movie to feel like it has to include a Batman story. I don't mind it in the last one, but part of me thinks it'd be more fascinating of it in this universe. Only the Joker exists. So overall, like the trailer, curious about how music will be implemented in the film, because apparently Todd Phillips said it's not going to be straight up music, but they're using music to help the story. And curious to see how Lady Gaga will portray Harley Quinn. Thank you, my good sir. Thank you, Nick. And we miss you, of course, on the podcast. Looking forward to seeing you at the screening and, of course, the podcast next week. But, yeah, I did a lot what Nick said, too. I think it's just like what Todd Phillips has said. It's not going to be a musical, but it's going to be a huge part of the movie. It will be music and how they implement the story and moving forward, stuff like that. So, again, intrigued by that. But, again, I'm skeptical because of the rumors I heard about the budget, and also, too, that Todd Phillips and sequels haven't been the best. But, again, I have faith in Joaquin Phoenix. I think Lady Gaga is a phenomenal actress, a great performer all around. She's super talented. Music, singing, dancing, all that kind of stuff. So, again, I'm definitely there day one. 70mm IMAX for sure. So, again, I hope it does well. Again, it is definitely a movie that will definitely probably cause a lot more conversation. I remember seeing it with some friends in college, and the first time ever that I walked through a metal detector and a TSA pat down at the AMC by ASU in college, and I was like, this is a first. But again, the movie definitely stuck with me in terms of how it was filmed, Joaquin, just like his performance, and again, it's definitely a movie that had very divisive too. But again, October 4th, which I think was now 5 years since the first one, so it's gonna be quite the fall movie season, I'll tell you that, with this movie coming out. Alrighty, that was Warner Brothers. Let's see what else. Did I miss anything else? Last year the big thing was Barbie. Barbie was the one that was like, whoa. Let's see. And I hope Heroes is good. I really do. And I said that Sony didn't show up this year, which is kind of surprising. But again, it's in the past. Studios have definitely backed out of it. I guess they're kind of just worried of kind of having to make sure the stuff was actually ready, not rushing it out. So I get it. All right, the one that definitely ended it all, which is Disney. Disney has, again, Fox, Fox, Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar. They announced, so they had some footage of Captain America, Brave New World. Listen, I love Anthony Mackie. I thought he was great as a Falcon. He's a new Captain America. I think they're gonna have. Harrison Ford now is taking in for William Hurt as Thunderbolt Ross. And footage looked pretty. Footage I heard had a good reaction. They announced Thunderbolts and they announced Fantastic Four, but I think Thunderbolts is already in production. and I think Fantastic Four is still in pre-production. Could be wrong, but good reaction to the footage. Her was very like they want to bring back. They're trying to rebuild the Avengers. What Anthony Mackie said, and that Kevin Feige, the CEO and the president of Disney, Marvel Studios, is that there's definitely a more gritty thriller, kind of like Captain America: Winter Soldier, which again intrigues me. But again, they got to find a way to bring back the audience because a lot of the MCU fans have checked out because the quality has definitely gone downhill since Endgame. But again, we'll see. But the big one that I cannot wait for is Deadpool and Wolverine. You probably heard us talk about this a few weeks ago on the podcast. I am ecstatic for Deadpool and Wolverine. I love Deadpool movies. I love Logan. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are legit the perfect casting for these characters. And the big surprise, obviously, was when Hugh Jackman was going to come back as Wolverine. Big surprise to all of us. After Logan, we were like, oh, he's done. There's no way he's coming back. We're finally getting a rated R Deadpool Wolverine movie. And Kevin Feige said, his quote's not mine, I can say one thing, and this is it. It's fucking awesome. This movie is fucking awesome, he says. Sean Levy, this guy, man, is one of the best underrated directors working for our time. From Big Fat Liar to Night at the Museum franchise to Free Guy, Adam Project. The list goes on and on and on. This is where I leave you. This guy has a range of action, comedy, feel-good, drama, you name it. And producing stuff like Arrival, Spectacular Now. This guy is one of the best working directors of our time, but super underrated too. And I'm so glad that he definitely Real Steel, which Real Steel was so good, super underrated. And so he's super close friends with Ryan Reynolds and super close friends with Hugh Jackman. He is the perfect guy, I believe, to make this movie. And they brought back Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, who wrote the first two Deadpool movies with Ryan Reynolds. Ryan also was co-writer of this movie. I'm there. I think they showed 9-minute footage of the movie, and everyone is said, "Oh my gosh, this movie's gonna be hilarious! We cannot wait for this." The hype is even more real than before. A lot of humor between Wolverine and Deadpool. I am stoked for this movie. I cannot wait, and I believe they're gonna have some more footage for us when Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes comes out in about a few weeks. So I cannot wait for that as well. I cannot wait for Deadpool Wolverine. This movie is gonna be my most anticipated movie of the summer. July 26th cannot come soon enough. I am ecstatic for this movie. Like I said, my only fear though is that they show a lot of TVA stuff, and again, if you don't know Loki, if you don't know that kind of that storyline, will the casual viewer get that? Like someone like, sorry, Don, calling you out on this, but someone like my dad who loves the Deadpool movies, but again, I don't know what hasn't seen Loki, doesn't know what the TVA is. I hope they include an explanation of what the TVA is for the casual fan, people who have not watched Disney Plus shows or the Loki show, because again, if you don't, you're going to lose a lot of people. They're going to be like, wait, what's TVA? Whatever. I have faith in people involved, but they definitely have to explain the TVA for the casual, not kept up with Disney Plus shows fan. And I hope they do. I have faith, but we'll see. Moana 2, The Rock came out. The Rock did his thing with his performance, of his dance, with most of his movies and most of his shows. The first Moana was really cute, really great animation, great singing. Moana 2, it's been almost 10 years. I think it'll probably do pretty well. I think that definitely has a huge following after the movie came out as well. So we'll see. Inside Out 2, didn't see the first one, but again, it's almost 10 years since the first one. We'll see how this one does. And it showed 40 minutes of the movie, and I believe the same thing with Lightyear back in 2022, and I think people were like, oh great, and then they were like, it was fine. Lightyear was definitely a good movie, but the ending wasn't as strong as the first half hour, I think everyone agrees on. So that comes out in June of this year, and then Moana 2 comes out, I believe, same thing, on Thanksgiving, which I think the first one came out Thanksgiving of 2016. Mufasa, The Lion King, directed by Barry Jenkins, who did obviously Moonlight, Where Beale Street Can Talk, and this movie definitely has been in the pipeline for a long time. I'm glad it's finally coming to theaters, because it's been in the work in production for a long time. There's some really great some footage that was shown to the fans, and people are very excited for this. Again, the last Lion King, the Don Favreau live action remake, made $1 billion, made so much money. Not as good as the original, obviously. It's kind of shot by shot remake, but great voice and talent by obviously Donald Glover, Beyonce, Keegan Michael Key, Chiwetel Ejiofor. I'm butchering his name for sure. Chiwetel Ejiofor. I'm butchering his name. I'm so sorry. Seth Rogen, Billy Eichner, James Earl Jones came back, obviously. So, apparently the footage looks very, very impressive and a bigger scale than the first one. What reports are saying, and they showed some footage of the new Planet of the Apes movie. Looking forward to that. Let's see. They showed a huge sneak peek of Fede Alvarez's Alien Romulus. Yeah, Alien's not my franchise, but apparently the footage looks awesome and very gruesome and very, very intense. And show some early look of the movie called The Amateur with Rami Malek, John Bernthal, and Rachel Brosnahan, which comes out April of 2025. So again, a lot of these studios and companies really show movies that are like that are still in production, early into production, or things that are being announced on the pipeline for us to get hyped for. So it's a really cool convention. Again, I've been following it for a couple of years now, and again, the goal is for us to go hopefully next year to cover it for you all. But again, exciting stuff. I know it's gonna be a lot of just like hopefully bringing back the theaters. The theatrical experience is here to stay. Hope these movies do well this summer. But again, only time will tell. Like I said, we have a really stacked 2024, and I hope a lot of things kind of stay in their scheduled date, release date. Hopefully, no more pandemics or strikes. But I'm hyped, guys. I hope you're all hyped too. Again, we have a lot to cover for you all. Look out for all our reviews, our reactions, any kind of content. So we're still trying to expand the show, into video format, video podcasting this summer. So hopefully look out for that. But seriously, guys, thank you so much for riding with this. We're going to be on a year and a half now doing this. We love doing the show. It's so much fun. I love getting to kind of like nerding out with you all, and I hope you're all enjoying it too. But like I said too, we do need your help getting us to 200 ratings on Apple Podcasts by June 1st for summer movie season. So help us out, guys. But hope you enjoyed this review roundup / audio newsletter / Producer's Playbill episode. And as always, guys, we'll see you at the movies.